So the team has to take the responsibility. I feel really sorry for the fans.
They've proven they can't handle it, these players.
What did you, in terms of Manchester United, just tell us about where and how you were targeting them.
I think it's just hard work. We knew that high pressure would affect them, and it did today, like you see with this guy's goal. And I think it was clear to see that when you work hard, you get the results, like today.
And particularly to target the new centre-half, Martinez?
Not even. I think it's just work harder than them. We know they've got great talent in there and some great players that can change the game. But when you work hard and run all over them, then I think the result like today shows what we're capable of.
Well done to both of you. Unbelievable result. Well done.
Nice one. Thank you.
We're joined now by Gary Neville, who's made his way down from the gantry. Gary, hard work, applying yourself, just making life difficult for Manchester United. Is that about as damning as it gets for United, the fact that they said we could just beat them because we work harder than them?
Yeah, I mean, Manchester United, these players have proved under 3 different managers now that they don't work as hard as the teams that they're playing against. And how long have we been saying in football that, you know, hard work will beat talent when talent doesn't work hard? That Manchester United team don't run hard enough, they don't run fast enough, but they are absolutely drained of all confidence. They're struggling badly, and they have been now for 12 months, and they're not being helped. And maybe some would say, well, they don't deserve help, they've got to help themselves. I get that, but I've been in struggling teams before. Been a coach of a struggling team where you see that a team's suffering and they need something, and that's got to come from above. But today was a new low. You know, and it seems that continually Manchester United can surpass their previous lows. And where and when is the lowest low going to come? Because the reality of it is, this is really, really bad.
The temptation is always to focus on the team who's lost this game and not to give credit, which we have to do to Brentford. And when we show the goals, we'll go through exactly what they got right. But Manchester United, do you feel that they created their own problems, Jamie?
Absolutely. I don't know if we can see the graphic at the start, just before we come out. This is the most damning thing for me. Roy Keane touched on this last week about how far you have to run. This team doesn't run fast enough or far enough. 109 kilometres Brentford run. Manchester United run 95. Now, that for me is just not good enough by any stretch of imagination, because you can't always play great, but you can always run around. Now that is so damning for this Manchester United team. I don't care who the manager is, I don't care who the owners are, that has got nothing to do with it. That is running for the shirt. That is a disgrace from their point of view. And if you're the manager, you go into the dressing room and you show them that, I would be so embarrassed as a footballer, because it doesn't matter about talent, how much that team costs, you've got to run around. You've got to win 50-50 challenges. And when you're 4-0 down, he would have learned probably more in that second half who wants to be at this football club with him. Now, he made mistakes, and we'll talk about them more, the manager. But from the players that started and finished that game, I don't think I've ever seen a more abject performance from a club that I would regard as one of the biggest in the world to play like that. And I had bad times at Liverpool. I was at Liverpool when they first, I think the last time they won the league, and I was there for a very difficult time. And it's sometimes, you know, you get a lot of stick, you get stick off pundits, you get stick off everyone, but you've got to run around, you've got to show you care. And I just don't think they showed they care today.
Karen, we'll get your thoughts in just a minute, but Jamie, you're talking about the work rate from the Manchester United players, and as measured by the distance that they run. Now that can't necessarily be levelled at David De Gea, but he was very much at fault for Brentford's first goal. Let's hear from him. He's with Patrick Davison. Clear disappointment there from David De Gea, understandably, and we'll look at that from a Manchester United perspective a little bit later on. But right now we're joined by Thomas Frank. Thomas, congratulations on a fantastic result and a fantastic performance. Was that everything you wanted from those players?
Yeah, difficult not to argue that. Yeah, amazing. This group of players just keep, I will not say surprising me, but keep giving me, the fans, memories for life. That's crazy. I think it's a fully well-deserved win against Man United with top players, new manager coming in. I don't think it was a 4-0 win, but clearly fully deserved win.
Ivan Toney said that they struggled with the running, they struggled with the long balls. What do you think the difference was?
I think we did... I think the defensive part of it, I think we did brilliantly. I think we are very aggressive and brave and pressed high up the pitch. I think that helped very much. Of course, we are forced back sometimes, and we have a fantastic low block. And then I think we were very good on set pieces, which we know was a thing we need to do very well. And then obviously, we knew that maybe you need to play into our strength with the longer balls. You guys have seen us last year. We do that sometimes, but not all the time. And today we used it as a clear weapon that could help us.
Why did you think that would be so effective?
I think because I think it's very. I haven't seen us. How can you say, outplay one of the top 6 teams because they have better players than us. So I like to do it better. So I try to be a little bit pragmatic there, and because I think that will add our chances of winning. Of course, it's nice to stand here and say, a big success, but it doesn't always go like this. Today it did. So yeah.
Thomas, do you think that there's a bit of predictability to Manchester United that they won't go long? Because it made your game plan easy to go and press high in those areas for the goal instance where it's nicked off Eriksen?
Yeah. I don't know. I just knew that we knew what we wanted to do on the goal kicks, and I 100% know that they have seen that. And they decide to play short, and we want to press. I know they also go long sometimes. Did that after that, of course, that's natural.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And the set pieces as well, he highlighted.
Yeah, we know we are strong at it. So of course we try to play into that and be very aggressive and having different combinations, trying to win the second balls and around the box. As you can see, we're quite brave. We don't have one back. We try to be brave there.
Well, when we talk about the pressure, and you alluded to it there, Karen, the first goal, and we're going to take a look at all the goals now, but the first one, okay, it was a mistake by David De Gea, but it came from pinching the ball off Manchester United, that pressure that you've talked about.
Yeah, so clearly up here we want to be aggressive and around the throw-in, and we want it, so that just gives us an opening, and yeah, of course, De Gea made a mistake, it happens for a goalkeeper, and of course that helps us in that situation.
But in terms of the pressure, in terms of putting Manchester United under pressure, getting into the position where you can have that shot, it was impressive, and it was clearly what you set out to do from early on in the game.
Yeah. We tried to be very, very front-footed and very aggressive, and that definitely gave us some chances, even in the end where there was the yellow card on Frank Onyeka. So we tried to be relentless and do it all the time.
Is this a great example of what you did in the first half, where you get Jensen pushing on, setting a trap for them, knowing that you can make a high press and win the ball back off them?
100%. So we wanted Ivan to close, so he couldn't play out there. And then I said, we need to close the bounce pass. And we know that we'll play to one of the 6. I predicted it was Eriksen. And Matty is doing a top job because he's reading that the bounce out for them.
And getting on that,
right.
that something he worked on to make sure he's on the side, that he can only play out to the right back?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
On the third goal, it was a set piece. When you saw the Manchester United team sheet come through and they went with the sort of players that they did it encourage you that you would win a lot of first contacts and you'd cause them big problems?
I said before the game that obviously they have top players that can move the ball, but on set pieces we had more physicality. So we need to use that on the second balls in there and everything dropping in there. We need to be very strong. So that I highlight that and say every set piece is a chance.
Yeah. I watched you from set pieces a lot last year. I thought you were fantastic. Certainly against Tottenham here when you caused some problems, always coming up with something. And in that example, when you're isolating Tony against Eriksen, how do you work on that to make sure you get to the back post knowing that he might be the free man?
Yeah, so actually Eriksen he can't compete there, but
it's a mismatch.
He read the other one.
He did it better in the second half.
Second time. So we knew that we can get most like the first contact. We didn't know that dual mark. We knew that zonal. We knew they had 2 to 3 markers, and then it's about, of course, getting the ball back in and then win the second duel.
When you look at the fourth goal, Thomas, and you talked about throughout the game using your physicality, maybe at set pieces, using the pressure, using the pace. The fourth goal, though, was just pure quality in terms of the pass from Jensen.
That's first defensive action from Jensen, unbelievable. But that pass, that's just wow.
Class, yeah.
And the first pass from Ivan, maybe even better. It's so difficult to play that. And then it's just Brian making a fantastic finish. But look how Jensen getting in, protecting, not panicking. He know Ivan already was going.
Is that an area then you look into that run?
No, not too much. That is difficult to train. We know they have high fullbacks. But look at that. Honestly, it's bouncing, so you need to hit it perfectly. That's an unbelievable pass and a top finish from Brian.
In the first half, we looked at your tactics, and you were, I think, 50% of your attacks were down the right-hand side, which is obviously the side with Shaw and Martinez. Was that an aspect of the game that you looked at? No, this is no disrespect to him. He's 5'9". He's a centre back. That was an area where you knew you could get success.
That we knew that more likely we'll either win it or have the second ball around it. And of course, we look at that team, and we look also what Brighton did well against them. So, Brighton, they also, like us, want to play. I think they're a little bit, to be honest, further down the line. I think they keep the ball a tiny bit better than us, if I'm honest. Then I think we do something better. But anyway, normally Brighton always go not short on goal pick, but a little bit more. They went long every single time. When they build from the keeper, they normally play a little bit more. They went long every single time. So, of course, we looked at that. And we know that we have that weapon, so that's why we did.
Were you surprised how Manchester United collapsed in that first half after the first goal? Or was it something that you thought could happen with the confidence being so low?
Yeah, it's difficult. They made a mistake, that happens. Then there's plenty of time. And then, probably made a mistake. I'll give us a little bit of credit for the high pressure. So that's 2-0. That's very difficult. And I don't know what to say, because I think you guys know the momentum and the mentality can drop. But of course and then the third one is a set piece where we know we are good, and going in there 2-0, so we know a little bit more there, maybe a little bit down. They know we are good in that area. And the third one was just, quality.
It's been a brilliant start to the season. This first game at home with a 4-0 win against Manchester United. I know you never talk to us about what your targets are for the season, but the expectations now are going to be very high.
And that's fair, but we need to take one game at a time. Of course, the boys, just like you have done, was saying 2 days off and all that. I can't swear here, but I said we need to have a relentless drive to try to end as high as possible. So, of course, we're in on Monday because we need to go forward, and we have an unbelievable, difficult game away to Fulham. There's a local derby. This league is, relentless, crazy. So we need to be on it. We need to fight so hard for every point. So just try to improve and do better.
Well, we saw that you did that today. Thomas, thanks so much for coming over to join us, as always. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And congratulations on a fantastic win for Brentford here at the G-Tech Community Stadium this evening. So it was a fantastic win for Brentford, great performance, and really good to hear Thomas Frank and analyse how they managed to do it. We'll focus on Manchester United and their reaction next. But we can make a judgment on the players.
We can, but I think those players, to be fair, I mean, Eriksen was new today, Martinez was new.
Erik Ten Hag has become the first Manchester United manager to lose his first 2 games in charge since John Chapman over 100 years ago. What did he make of this latest defeat? Here he is with Patrick Davison.
Well, Erik, it's a bad day, a really bad day. Can you explain at this moment why and how that's happened?
Difficult for me, also surprise. And when you start the game like this, I think in 35 minutes you concede 4 goals. It's not possible. And so the team has to take the responsibility. I feel really sorry for the fans. They did everything to support us, but we let them down.
So you say surprise. Is it disbelief, really, at what you've seen at the moment?
Also to do with that, but it's just they are good players. And then you have to take responsibility on the pitch as a team and as individual. And that is what we didn't do.
So you say it's the team. So they didn't do what you asked them to do today?
No, what I asked him to do is play with belief and take responsibility for your performance, and that is what we didn't do.
So are you surprised at that? They seem like a very fragile group of players. They started well last week and it quickly went wrong. Even the first 4-5 minutes today weren't so bad, and then the minute something goes wrong, they seem to really struggle.
Yeah, that is the truth, and we have to see that, and we have to work on that. And it's only when we stick together and we work hard, we come over that. But belief you have to bring on the pitch for yourself and as a team.
Is that something for you as a manager, belief, that's very, very difficult to change?
No.
You can't do it on the training pitch, is what I mean.
Of course, no. Don't get me wrong. The manager is responsible as well. He's the main responsibility. So, and I take that, and I will work on that. And of course, I have to give them belief, but also they have to give them. They have to give it by themselves.
The first couple of goals come from Brentford pressing you high. What's wrong there? Is it the decision making, the idea itself, the execution? What would you say?
I think nothing from that.
No.
It's about individual mistake, clear.
You're talking about the first goal, or both first goal?
First and two, both. Cannot happen. On this level cannot happen, but happened, and we have to take the lessons out.
David has just been out and done an interview, actually says, my fault. He almost was saying for the whole thing. Is he right to say that? I know the first goal, a keeper as good as him does better, normally.
He's a great goalkeeper. And good first goal, he know that, and that's clear.
And does it change the course of the game, though?
Of course, but then still, that is what I mean. You have to stick to the plan and move on. Mistakes as part of football. So you have to keep going, play as a team, and especially act.
Tell us about the changes you made at half-time. 3 changes. It looked like you were trying to introduce more height into the team. Was it that simple, or did you have different thinking?
No, that had nothing to do with it. And it was more to bring 3 fresh ones. And you see, the 4-0 is not possible. That is the message, what you then give. But I could have changed all 8 others as well.
Is it going to be a big job for Lisandro Martinez? He's one of the players you changed. Is it going to be a big job for him to adapt to the Premier League, especially in games like that where it's direct and physical at times?
Yeah, but I don't think it was the issue that we conceded 4 goals.
Okay, what was the issue?
Yeah, what I just mentioned. So individual mistakes.
Okay, you said when you took the job you knew this was a level up, the club, maybe the league as well. Has what you found surprised you? Has it been more even than you thought?
No, we are as a team in a difficult process. Of course, you expect a different start. It's not what we expected. We did quite well, but it seems like what happens in the past, last season. We bring it into the season. We have to change that really quickly.
Are there ripple effects with this? You've said many times you want new players, but maybe a new player seeing that, maybe they don't want to come.
But I think so. That is, we need new players, we need quality players, and we're working on that, and we will do everything to convince them to come.
Some unhappy fans in that away corner today, not just with you, this has gone on the best part of a decade really, but what can you say to them just to, is there anything that makes you think, okay, there are better days ahead, this was a bad one, but in the future there is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel?
I already said, I feel really sorry for them, and in Man United we have to serve higher standards than what we act today.
Thank you for your time.
Please.
Thank you.
The latest in a long line of apologists to step out of the Manchester United dressing room over the last few months and more.
And a bit longer.
2 things there that hit me. One, not my fault.
Not my fault, Gov.
Not my fault. They didn't do what I said. Well, if I'm sitting there watching that in the United dressing room, I'm thinking, your game plan.
Yeah.
Your game plan.
And
the second thing, he took Martinez off because he's too small.
Well,
that's the bottom line.
That would seem to be the case. What I would say in Martinez's is not defence. I would say we were here a year ago when Brentford played Arsenal. Remember the opening game of the season? Mm-hmm. Remember Ben White played his opening game from his big multi-million-pound transfer from Brighton, I think it was, and he got the same thing. He got ragdolled many times. No, Muller, they physically dominated him, and he got huge criticism, massive criticism of pundits back in England that terrible signing. He got absolutely roasted today. He'll never make it centre-back and all this jazz. And he's gone on, what I'm saying is he's gone on. So.
Yeah, but he's got an advantage immediately. He's
bigger
6 foot.
than him. Yeah, he's bigger than him. Yeah,
it's an issue. I don't think you can have a centre-back in this league that's 5'8", 9 tall, whatever he is. You just can't.
No, it's difficult, Richard. And even because that's even generally players are bigger now. Even midfield players are 6'1", 6'2". You know, wingers are 6 foot plus as well when they go out and play these days. It's not just centre forwards who are 6 foot plus.
Would you play Luke Shaw at centre back?
No, I wouldn't.
No, well, there you go.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I think you're inviting teams to say, do you know what? See today, just for today, when we play them, if I've got a centre forward, I'm going, you just pull on Martinez pretty much all the time. And we're not going to bother about playing pretty football. That can wait for another day. But this day, just for today, let's load a few on top of him and then just see what happens.
Extraordinary day.
Well, Erik Ten Hag says that he feels sorry for the Manchester United fans. They've lost their first 2 games. And it's not necessarily an easy run that's coming up for them, Karen.
I mean, look at the next fixture, Liverpool and Southampton and Leicester as well. Those 3 teams have got next. They didn't beat them once last season. I think the aggregate against Liverpool was 9-0, I think. So after the first 2 games, the next fixture's coming up. I do feel sorry for the fans, actually.
And Arsenal coming up as well, who look to have made a really good start to the season, who seem to have had a good transfer window, certainly from the early stages. I think Saliba made an error today, even after a good debut. But in terms of the players who are coming in, Erik Ten Hag has talked about going into the market again. From the players that he's brought in, and even given the restrictions, as the guys were saying, about attracting players to Manchester United as things stand at the moment, do you think they've brought the right players in so far under Ten Hag?
Again, it would be really harsh to say after 2 games. Players do need time to settle in. We've seen that across the Premier League from loads of teams. And, other managers have gone into similar markets. Spurs have gone into the Italian market, Denmark here, your players. But on evidence, you just say, why didn't they go more physical? Why did they not go with physical players so they don't get outrun? They can compete aerially. They don't get beat on set pieces. So it's everything. I agree with Gary. It starts from top down. And whoever invests in it, you give your money to the right people, they recruit the right people, and it starts to filter down. It's just been starting from the decision making from the players on the pitch all the way up to the top. It's been wrong.
The problem you get though as well, Kelly and Karen, is if you're going to sign players, and you will get judged on how you sign players. If you're going to sign a 5'9" centre back, now I've watched Premier League, played in the Premier League, he is not going to be able to compete in this league. He might be okay in the Dutch league where it's not quite as physical, but when you play here, week in, week out, teams are going to be looking to expose any weakness, like Brentford did today, like Brighton did, like Liverpool will do. Every team will play on him because he's 5'9", he's not tall enough, he's actually a small midfielder, let alone a small centre-back. So that will be one that you get judged by. Bringing in the players, now I do believe that Frenkie de Jong, if he comes into the club, will improve this team because he's a fantastic midfield player. They are so short in that department. All the great midfield players that have played for the club, right now, they are devoid of any real quality in an area. He played Christian Eriksen as a false 9 last week. This week, he plays him as a deep line midfield player. Now, as a manager, I'm thinking, well, that's not great tactically either. So you have to be careful you don't get too many decisions wrong early days.
Jamie, I think with the centre-back Martinez, I think this is what's worrying. His stats, even though he's small, were quite good aerially, but you still got to know the league that you're up against, and I don't think they did. And I think, Eriksen coming in, last year he did work in deeper areas, but he was against someone that was physical that could compete with him. And I just think it is really worrying in who they've got next as well.
I kept a little bit quiet on Lisandro Martinez because obviously when I heard he was 5'9", and I thought, it took me back to sort of, I love playing centre-back. I was a centre-back in the youth team. I was centre-back in the reserve team. I came into United, I probably played 40, 50 games in my first 150 at centre-back. And I'd seen Paul Parker before me, who was an outstanding centre-back. But there always come a point whereby physically it became too much for me, and he had to take me out of centre-back and put me at right-back because I physically just could not handle the 6'2" strikers that basically were up against me in the box on set pieces, on crosses. And I had to give up that sort of feeling that I would be a centre-back. And, the boss, Sir Alex Ferguson, tried it for about 3 or 4 years where he kept putting me back in. I played 10 games. I think, yeah, I'm on here now. I can play centre-back. But honestly, I think it'd be very difficult in this league, I think, to actually succeed, no matter how good you are. And that's not right in the player.
Because there have been 5'9" centre-halves. Barcelona have had a couple.
Yeah.
Well, you had the Premier League, though,
yeah,
that's what we're saying, the Premier League.
I think a left in maybe a back 3 could potentially work. Maybe playing in midfield because we know he can do that. I think he's got tenacity, and to be fair, I wouldn't judge him at all at this moment in time. But to say that I think he could play in a back 4 away at Brentford, I think Tony and Burma will cause him problems, not just in this game, but every game that they play against him here, because you just physically can't compete with them. I couldn't when I was playing as a centre-back, when I was younger, and I thought I was a decent centre-back who knew my position, knew the game, but I couldn't do it because Gary Pallister had to keep coming over and swap with me. When I saw them swap in the first half with Harry Maguire at the long throw, I thought that remembered when Pally used to swap with me. And if you're having to swap positions as a centre-back because of the fact that the other one, to compensate for the other one, it's just not great. And that's what continually happened. And they did target him in that first half. And Luke Shaw, who to be fair has got experience, but was even worse than Lisandro Martinez, let's be clear.
But you have to also feel sorry. He's playing in a team that's devoid of any confidence. So it's hard. It's like when you're a young player and you get thrust into the first team when they're not winning, they keep losing games, you're getting punched on the nose every week. You have to show character. So it'll need time. Maybe he can be yes, he could play midfield. Technically, he's a good player. He's played in the Dutch league. He knows the game. But as a centre-back in this league, I think it's really, really difficult, and you get exposed very quickly. Like Thomas Frank said it. We knew down that side we could have success today.
You come on here and you criticise the players, you criticise the board, you criticise the executives, the owner. Are you, or do you feel any responsibility for any criticism that is then overstepping the mark that comes their way?
Well, you know the impact that you have when you played for Manchester United, and you obviously speak as as emotively and passionately as I have, and there is a line. I know there are fans that have turned up at people's houses or at the training ground and tried to break into. That cannot happen. Let's be really clear. There has to be a line here, and obviously it's going to be toxic in this next 5, 6, 7 days before Liverpool. But you cannot turn up at people's houses. You cannot abuse people's families. That should never happen. Every Manchester United fan should know that line should never be crossed. I want to really say that. But the reality of it is, to vent your frustration and protest against the family and what's going on at the moment. We've seen Liverpool do it with Hicks and Gillette. We've seen other clubs' fans do it really successfully over the last sort of 10, 15 years. That's something that peaceful protest, demonstrating and sort of making sure that you do it in the right way is something that should be done. But we cannot start abusing people's families. We cannot start abusing people at home or on their email addresses. We have to make sure it's retained inside the stadium and make sure that it's done in the right way. And that's not me trying to temper anything. But there is a line. But the fact of the matter is, the time has come. They do have to either explain their plan very clearly, or they do need to sell the club. They've got to do one of two things. They can't just keep quiet now. We talked about Daniel Levy before. To be fair to him, at least he turns up every single week.
He did. But what have they won in that period, though? Just
no. He turns
not a thing,
up, though.
And not a thing. They've not won one thing in his
They got to a Champions League final, didn't they? And
they've changed their plan, though, Jamie. Their strategy's completely changed.
Look, win or lose, you turn up, you show your face. You don't let your staff and your employees take all the criticism for you and their families. You have some guts. You talk about courage and belief out here for the players. What about the owner showing some courage and belief and coming over and speaking to the BBC, Sky, ITV, TalkSport this week and demonstrating, telling everybody, tell the fans what your plan is. Be here. Do something. Change, interfere with what's going on at this moment in time. And we can take responsibility on here all we like, but they've got to take responsibility.
When you're next on Monday Night Football?
Monday, unfortunately.
This is not a Man United game.
So you'll be going into this in more detail for the Liverpool Crystal Palace game on Monday night.
We're going to do Notts Forest and West Ham.
I don't know if we've got time, but Liverpool's a great example. Liverpool didn't win a league. If you had said in, I think it was 1990, whenever it was, the last time they won the league, and it was under your dad, Kelly, if you'd not won the league in 30 years, people would have thought, well, that can't happen. Liverpool are the biggest club in the world. It can happen, and history right now is repeating itself. And Manchester United, they might have to go through the same pain, because if you're a young player or a big, great player in the world now, you're looking at Man United as your third, fourth choice, maybe even fifth choice in the Premier League right now. So they might have a lot more pain to come. It doesn't mean because they're Manchester United.
But the two clubs at the top of the Premier League, to get to the success that they've got to, have had to change ownership. Manchester City had owners, if you like,
buy better players,
and they've had to basically change ownership and change the football project and the sporting ambition. They've both had to change their owners to get to where they've got to, both Liverpool and City, and Newcastle. So there's three examples there.